Tonight on James Talk Africa, my guest is Bosede Olusola-Obasa, the CEO of First Royal Character and Values Limited in Nigeria. She shares about turning the issue of character development into a business that is helping many corporations and individuals today. Tonight on James Talk Africa. Please like this video and leave a comment below. Let's know what you think. And don't forget to subscribe and click on the bell button and share this video with somebody.
From Cape Town to Cairo and from Mogadishu to Dakar, this is James Talk Africa. And now here's your host, Chim Onyibilanma.
Hi there and welcome to this segment of your show. Like I said in the introduction, my guest today is Bosede Olusola-Obasa. She is the Chief Responsibility Officer for First Royal Character and Value Limited. And
Yes.
Bosede, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here.
I tell you, Bosede, yours, First Royal Character and Value Limited, or RCV, will be the first in this part of the world, at least in Nigeria, that will see a company focused on character
Development.
and development or value development. In that sense, I think there might be others mixed with some mentoring, leadership, but this, or what will you say? I mean,
Pure. Yes.
is it like that?
Yes.
I mean, I'm not much in Nigeria.
I hate to sound loud, but I have a very good sense of knowing that nobody else is doing it full swing like we are doing currently. There are people who do poise, there are people who do etiquette, there are people who do values, there are people who do, like you said, bit of leadership. And but for a company that is registered by the Corporate Affairs Commission to sell, the way I was saying jokingly, I said we sell and we market character.
That's what I thought too. What do you sell? What do you market? Tell us a little bit about RCV, then I'll come back to your character.
Good. RCV was established in 2015. November 5 is our corporate anniversary. And it came as an inspired idea. I was going to turn 40, and from when I left Punch in 2014, precisely in February, I got agitated. I wanted to know what more could there be to me. I left Punch because I wanted a lighter schedule, basically. I loved everything about being a reporter. I loved everything about the opportunities that organization gave me. I loved the growth part. I loved every single thing, except that for the other areas of my life where I also had goals, I felt I was beginning to lose touch and lose track. So it was time for me to put my hearts together and decided, okay, let me look for something that can offer me lots more time. But along the line, I told myself, you're going to be 40 in 2015. You need to be pretty sure you are still supposed to be on this lane. I have this funny way of saying it. I'll say, I don't want to get to heaven's gates, and then God will tell me that you did not do the exact thing I wanted you to do. So there's that part of me as a child of God. So he saw me through going for Word of Faith Bible Institute. I just wanted to be in an environment that's owned by Winners Chapel. I wanted to be in an environment where I could easily hear whatever God wanted to tell me. And I had my moments of praying and talking to God and saying that, look, and there was an interesting way I kept saying it to God. I'll say, God, you know that I know my name, right? I believe he said yes. And then I'll say, when this idea will be communicated, make sure it's as clear as I know my name. And that's exactly what God did, the power of asking and having your answers. So in October, the idea just flashed through my mind, character development. I'm like, what's that? Started research the entire November. I was researching to know what this is about. Tried to look for who is doing this in Nigeria, because yes, from being close to people who are in business, I know that you should always check for who, before you step into anywhere, check for those who are already doing what you're doing. So I did that search, couldn't find one in Nigeria, found people doing things that are within the corridors of it though, but found two organizations in the UK, one in the UK, one in the US, that could serve as mentors from afar. And so that said, we started with a free platform of talk. So I'll come, I give a talk, and then we have a discussion. It was almost like starting from a talk show platform, but it's totally free. For me, that was like me looking for an opportunity to convince myself that this thing is worth running with. So, but from the research that I did all through the month of November in 2014, I was very convinced that this is a business line. So I wasn't coming into it wondering, oh, what if I then find out it cannot sustain itself? No, I knew it could take a bit of time for it to begin to sustain itself, as it were, but I was totally sure that this wasn't an NGO. So when I put it out there first time in around October, that, oh, so this is what I'm doing now. My colleagues in the media started asking, oh, Bosede, so are you in an NGO now? Is it an NGO? Is it? I'm like, no, this isn't an NGO. The beautiful thing was, I didn't feel angry about what they thought it was. I preempted, like I knew it was likely people would think it's an NGO. So I had to take my time, educate every single person who cared to know that this is a full-fledged business. And what we do is character development. So right now, we have clients almost everywhere. We have clients in the oil and gas sector who want us to come talk to their team members on best workplace attitudes. So the thing is, we have to look for creative ways to push this into the spaces we wanted it to go. So you might not just go out there and say, oh, cool, so come, let me teach you character. Somebody said, are you saying that my parents did not train me from when I was young? Those are the first level reactions you might get. So it took some creativity, sitting down to make it fit for the marketplace. And looking at, so how does it affect people in business? How does it affect people in schools? How does it affect people in churches? And for individuals as well. So that was done. And so we have RCV Business, we have RCV Media, we have RCV, the one that now look like advocacy. So the business is run on three legs. We do training, basically. That's the biggest of all the offerings that we push out there. And then we do consulting around this, and then we do advocacy. Under advocacy, there are a lot of free things that we do. We like to say that 10% of whatever we make every year goes into the advocacy drive. That's where you can get about everything that we have without paying a dime. Still happens till, it will happen till forever. It is the model of the business. Because not everybody would be able to pay you to learn what they need to learn. Take, for instance, every year since 2014, I've hosted the National Character Parenting Summit. The very first one was on my 40th birthday in 2015. Okay, so now it's 2015. And from that time, it holds every August. I would usually say that that's the legacy project I want to leave behind for the world. And what is that about? It is a convergence where you bring parents, teachers, regulators of schools, and youngsters themselves under the same roof and discuss one important conversation per year. So that is that's the 9th edition will be held in August, every August, because my birthday is August. So understandably holds every August. That said, yeah. RCV is here and we're doing beautifully well.
Very fascinating how you turned selling character into business. Because hearing you now, the creativity you have put into it is quite inspiring. Let's talk about yourself. Reading your small book, The God Factor in Character Development, stories about your life and the roots. I was really impressed by the foreword by your dad, where he talks of how you led all of them to Christ. And tell me about finding Christ and helping your family to find Christ, even as a young girl.
So salvation happened for me, the one that I can say, yes, 1993. And that was under administration of now late, very, very dear and revered Pastor Wilson Badejo, former GO, of Foursquare Gospel Church. And he was preaching that day, and then I stepped out. It wasn't my first time of stepping out, but you see, I had this thing. I always wanted to be sure. So I'll come out, I'll take the salvation, I'll go back, I'll make sure I take it again. I just wanted to be sure. So, but that day, I decided to put that August 1993. A lot of things happened August for me. So, and that was it. And I'm so glad that I now found a fellowship called Crusaders Fellowship. Okay. High Crusaders Fellowship is a team of teenagers in the Foursquare setting. It happened that the one in my own local assembly was a very vibrant and useful one. That was where a lot began to happen to me. The passion to see people saved. And then there's this scripture that says that you will be saved, you and your household. So I kept holding on to that scripture. That didn't you say that there was a ticket that could take all of us together, that I'll be saved, myself and my household? So each time that was the prayer, I had no other prayer to pray but to say, you had to make your word good. You have to make your word good. Lord, you said you shall be saved, you and your household. So I kept praying that prayer. My dad was in his military state, so this little way of trying to shape me up. I'm like, well, he's a pastor now. He's a pastor now, and he's been a pastor for years too. A huge blessing. He pastors at Winners Chapel.
But at that time he was.
Oh, you know the thing we call that you are facing temptation and you are facing persecution. Yeah, he looked like he was a persecutor. You wouldn't like to hear that. I mean, but because I had elder uncles, I had uncles who would be around, and they were the people with whom he would take beer and all that. And then they would just say, you went to church yesterday. When did you come back? And all of that. And then I would just stand there, and all I'm saying is, God, you know that once he's saved, I will be free from this problem. Just save him. And please save him first so that he will now make everybody follow him. And God answered. God answered because September 5, 1995, he gave his life to Christ.
Praise God.
Yes, he did. And that was major. From there, my mom had always been. So it was easy for her to follow in getting properly saved and being very sure. Then my younger ones, from my brothers to my sisters, everybody. If I remember that my brother, who is the co-founder of Buisness Limited today, Mr. Sunday Olorun-Seyi, had to be commandeered by my father to follow me to Crusaders Fellowship. Look, that place where Bosede goes.
Go and find out.
Making her life this good. Next time she's going, you must follow. That was how the young man had to follow me, whether I liked it or not, and that was how he met God.
You know, that's instructive. It was the fact that and I read this from the foreword of your father, the fact that it was your character and what they saw in you after you met Christ that led them all to say, we want to follow this Jesus. I think that's a big, big testimony, because if those who see you the closest can testify of that, that's what it's all about. Yeah. Let's talk about marriage. You found number one. You found the Mr. Right. Yeah. How did that happen?
Mr. Olusola-Obasa.
Mr. Olusola-Obasa.
He's so right that I had to answer his two names.
Okay.
Yes.
So
my compound name is none of my father's name. There's two names. I had to answer the two. That guy.
To show that you found the right one.
Yeah.
So how did you find him?
Okay.
Or how were you so sure he was the one?
It will amaze you that it came with the salvation package from when I was a teenager. Amazing. There at the High Crusaders Fellowship that I referred to earlier on, he happened to have been one of the teenagers as at then. And I'm talking about in our older teens. So in High Crusaders, you're an older teenager. There is the junior crusader. When you're a junior crusader, you're a younger teenager. So it then meant that many of us were either trying to get out of secondary school or were preparing to go into university, or were actually in the university. And some people who were not ready for university yet were doing holiday jobs and all. So he was one of the ESCO members, and we grew to become friends. It's interesting to really see how fervent, how committed, and how God-centered those of us youngsters were. You needed to get into the basement where we held our fellowship when we were praying. It's not today that I hear people say that when you get into a teens church, teenagers are quiet and looking. No. Everyone, and when it's time to do praises, people are praising God and carrying their chairs up and dancing. You know that kind of height of praise. And when it's time to pray, when it's time to go out on evangelism, so there's no way I can ever tell the story of my life without
what High Crusader did for you.
So additionally then came Obasa. And we grew, went to school, and that connection was never missing until, of course, it was time to say, oh, I'm interested in you and all that. And that's the story.
And you got married. What year did you get married?
We got married in 2004.
And yet you had moments in your marriage where you felt like, I'm done, I'm going. Tell us about that.
So we got married, and something wasn't just clicking about my husband's job. Don't forget, I was working before I got married. Started working in 2000, got married in 2004. So I knew and from learning from my mom, I knew what it meant to be collaborative. So that wasn't the issue. But the much we tried, the much whatever I tried to do wasn't just turning in the kind of results. So that brought plenty of tension. Understanding as I could be, nice as I could be, there were moments when it just got to a head and you wanted something to change and turn. Also, you should pray for your husband. Yes, I was praying for him. But that did not preclude me from having those conversations that could sometimes turn heated arguments. And at a point, I will feel this pressure around my head, and it will feel like, look, the thing I have to do now is just to step out of this space so I could find myself. That was the basis on which I was always muting the idea to go. So each time I said it, this is what you just say. Are you sure this is what you want? He's a very calm and easygoing man. He's a very, very simple, calm, easygoing man. He will just say to me that, are you sure this is what you want? He said, because I already made up my mind before I met you that I would never have a broken home. We had to speak with one of our counselors from way back when we were teenagers. God bless people who stand with young people who are getting married. So we had a whole night talking to this elderly woman and the husband, and they said, okay, so Bosede, you've tried, yes, good, but see, the solution is not to bolt out. And then, Shola, this is what to do, this is what to do. God took charge from that moment, and things began to turn. So this is what I tell people now. I'm not a marriage counselor, but I take my time to tell my story just so people know that some of the things termed irreconcilable differences in magistrate courts today could have been resolved. Some marriages that ended up breaking could have worked if only the right interventions came into that space around that time. So I've made it a point of duty to always, I'm very free with telling this story, and I'm glad my husband is free with telling, because yes, just so that every young person around me gets to listen to me say that there will be pressure. Yours might be different from the dimension of mine, but whatever it is, make sure that jettisoning or going away is not the first thing to think about. Get counseling, get mentors, get to read something, prepare, pray, and then just trust God to see you through that process. And His name will be glorified. And you'll be happier for it. Because I'm happy I didn't leave.
You know, there's one thing you told me about the death, an event that shook you deeply. The passing of your sister. Tell us about that.
Okay. Her name is Fumilayo. So we had all been looking forward to her getting married. You know, she's this pet of everybody in the family. She's so good with wanting to be part of everyone's life. She's so good with wanting to help. There's even a book we had to write on her when she left called Fumilayo, Sacrifices with Smiles. She's ever smiling. When it was time for her to get married, I was over the moon. I wanted to just look for a way to show that I appreciated every single thing.
How did you feel? I mean, what did it do to you?
So that passing of hers is something that I'd like to understand when I get to heaven. Because you would have wished that you saw our own babies too, and you could pamper them. All of us were waiting. It was a regular joke in the house that, hey, once you have your baby, I'm going to sleep under your bed. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this, because we're all looking forward.
How soon after marriage did she pass on?
3 years.
3 years.
3 short years.
I think, Bosede, like you said something before. This is a question you ask God, and it's always good to fall back on that sovereignty of God, the fact that He knows. And when I see Him face to face, I would know better, because it's difficult to explain how much grief someone goes through. And we as we begin to wrap this up, I just want us to go back to RCV and say, what are you dreaming of for RCV in the coming years, as we begin to round up, before you give your final word?
Okay, so I feel really comfortable here because I've always known that I also have a talk show in the making. And one of the things I enjoyed the most as a reporter was interviewing people. I mean, it always made my day because it helped me get educated on a fast track lane. Places people have been, things they've done, things they've seen. I just get to sit down and take everything in all at once while doing my job. So, future, there's a university in the offing that very well is going to accentuates the sound of character and learning. You know, every time you go to a graduation ceremony, you hear that line, oh, this set of students have been found worthy in character and in learning. A lot of schools are doing a lot to make the learning part sure. I can't say the same about making the character part sure. So we're looking forward. Right now, we work with schools to help them bring the character curriculum into what they do. But looking ahead, I'd like to have a class act of what it should be looking like. And RCV is a global organization. So currently we are still doing plenty of Nigerian clients. So the future is also to step on the global board and do more. On the top of my head, those will be it for now.
That's beautiful. So we'll be seeing RCVU. That'll be, the U will be the university. Bosede,
Character University.
Character University. And what will be the parents will be glad to send them to Character University. I don't know how much the children will be glad to.
No, they'll be glad. They'll be glad because whatever has become your space where you play, you come up with plenty of ingenuity and creativity. If you're one who is open to being innovative with whatever you do, you're looking for the best way to serve whatever you're serving, just so people are willing to buy in. I must say that the way we take our trainings, when we step into an organization, people begin to love us and see us as access through which they can reach their bosses and the people in management because of the way we come around with what we do.
And that's wonderful.
Yes, yes.
Very innovative of you. What will be your last word in 30 seconds? Look into the camera and whatever part of your heart you want to put it out from. Go ahead.
Put it out from the heart where I would say that whatever God makes of me is for Him. And so that's what I'm pushing out to whoever is watching right now. Whatever God makes of you is for him. As children of God, we have been sent into different spheres to reign for him, to create an attraction. We should never get to the point where we forget. At RCV, every morning, we have a 1-hour staff empowerment session that includes praises, that includes prayers, that includes Bible reading or preaching, and then we read a book together. That is one of the ways we integrate the fact that we run with a G factor. In fact, our core values are 4: value addition, excellence, simplicity, and G factor. So everyone comes into RCV knowing that there is a God back of this organization. So, and yes, as an organization, we pay tithes. Apart from individual tithing, RCV pays tithes. I won't tell you where we pay to, but we pay tithes on every single profit that we make. So it means that you must, when you're sent into the world out there, you are not supposed to do it exactly the way people of the world do it. You should be coming with something extra, because just then you will not have to suffer what they suffer when the economy is nosediving. You still find that you're doing well because there's grace flowing from a source they may not have access to. I think this has become very important as the end times begin to draw closer, because God will begin to make a difference between them that serve him and them that do not serve him.
That's
whether
so
in
true.
business or in life.
Thank you so much. We'll be speaking to Bosede Olusola-Obasa, the Chief Responsibility Officer for First Royal Character and Value Limited. Thank you so much, Bosede, for coming on the show. And thank you for joining us
I
this
decided
week.
to whisper it.
And thank you so much for joining us this week, viewers. This is where we say ciao. Bye.
Please like this video and leave a comment below. Let's know what you think. And don't forget to subscribe and click on the bell button and share this video with somebody.